it's Ashley Offset, and I'm super excited because today I'm going to be sharing with you my 1996 Fender Jag-Stang in Fiesta Red. This guitar I've had so long. I got it when I was a kid, and what I used to do was browse eBay all night long because I was obsessed with looking at Fender guitars and unique guitars. Now, by the time I had heard about Nirvana, it was far too late. Kurt was already gone. Essentially, I fell into a rabbit hole and stayed there for years. I wanted to learn everything I could about the band, listen to all their music, and kind of get into the psyche of Kurt Cobain because, as we all know, he was a genius with these songs. I mean, they're so simple and they're so catchy, but obviously not everyone can write simple, catchy songs, and sometimes the talent is in doing that and getting the masses to cheer for something that you've written as opposed to being a prodigy, which is insanely cool in its own right, and people are fans of that music as well. But to take simple, catchy songs, that was kind of his avenue. With that being said, while I'm browsing eBay back when I was younger, I also dove headfirst into these Kurt Cobain journals, and I specifically remember looking through here and seeing his idea on paper for the Jag-Stang. So here's the journal here, and this is something that young Ashley just was embedded in for a really long time. And as I open the book, it opens right to this because I was literally obsessed with his idea and why he wanted to do things a certain way. So we'll just flip kind of from far away so that you can see, but it's just kind of priceless that this is documented and you can look at it. That's what I was doing back in the day, just kind of looking at guitars. And that kind of brings me to this point. Again, I was a kid doing this, and life happened and life got in the way, and so I went away from guitars. And as you know, I'm beginning again here, but it taught me that this has always been in me. Guitars have always been something that I've been interested in collecting. In fact, this is my third guitar, I believe. My first guitar was an acoustic guitar my dad got me to learn on. As soon as I built up finger strength and got beyond the bare basics, I was gifted from my dad, who was a musician, a made in Mexico Fender Strat. And so I had those two guitars, and those were enough for a very long time. But then I got into the world of, oh, there's other guitars, and I want a certain sound. And I knew nothing about pedals and mixes and stuff like that. So I truly thought the whole entire sound I'm hearing on tracks is just the individual guitar. So I was looking for something that just sounded different. And stumbling onto this on eBay, I believe I got it for somewhere between $400 to $450. I distinctly remember that price range, and I bought it myself, and so that was a big deal for a kid to be able to do something like that. I will also say, being naive and finding something on eBay that young, I didn't think to ask pointed questions about the condition of the guitar. So in my little Ashley mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, it'll be meant to very good condition, and I'll be able to see all the flaws instead of specifically asking questions. But as we go over any flaws this guitar has, in no way did it bum me out opening the thing up so much that it took away from the joy of owning a new guitar, especially a Jag-Stang, especially when you're a kid. It's all just mind-blowing to me, even still. I will go over a few of the features of the guitar. We're not going to get feature heavy though. This is really more about the story. We'll do a demo at the end, but kind of some notable things that I remember reading about in this journal that I saw brought to life. He wrote about an extended butt on the body of the guitar, the enlarged headstock here. It has a super slim, comfortable neck, and then it has a 7¼ inch radius on the fretboard, which is different from the norm. It's a more vintage spec, and so I would say it's different from the norm, but definitely not rare, but the only guitar I have with a 7¼ radius. Now, it did come with this hard shell case. It's not Fender branded, but it has held up well over the years and done its job. I currently use it for my Fender Cyclone because I have the Jag-Stang on a stand or hanging up on the wall. But overall, just a good solid case, good enough to ship in and good enough to use when I'm taking my guitars to get worked on. And also, a lot of you may know, but just for those who don't, per Kurt's spec, this is kind of a hybrid between a Jaguar and a Mustang. And we'll give you some more closer detail on the guitar, but I can't remember if when I was browsing eBay, if I saw these black scratches on the perloid pickguard. I'm sure I did because, I mean, they're really noticeable on camera, but those are there. And then coming around to the back, the next thing I would say that I noticed way back when was these really shallow notches on the back here. Now, initially I counted 5 of them and I was like, okay, what are those for? So I have no idea what they represent, but if you look really closely, you can see a 6 more shallow notch, and 6 is my favorite number. So as soon as I saw that there were 6 notches, I was like, okay, I'm good with that. That's my favorite number. It was kind of meant to be. And at that moment, me and the Jag-Stang probably bonded. Now, as far as anything I've done to it over the years, as far as damage, you can see on the end of the body here, there are some white marks. What happened there was I had a Fender Strat, it was white. I set it on a stand. The stand pulled up some of that white paint. I didn't know it, and I set the Jag-Stang on top, and so then the Jag-Stang pulled that white paint up from the stand. I'm sure that I could bring this off of there, but in regard to all the imperfections that I'm talking about today, I generally don't like imperfections, but this is a Jag-Stang. If any guitar deserves mojo, which I'm not usually into or care about, it's this though. Like, I'm perfectly fine. It has some dings on it that we might be able to show you. Definitely not perfect, but when you're looking at it from afar and even just like this, you can't see anything aside from those black marks on the pick guard. Now, one final thing I'll say about these black scratches, kind of a funny and crazy story to me. I started this channel about 2 months ago almost, and I think when I was about 1 month in, my husband went to our local guitar store. They had recently worked on this because I will say out of the box, or getting it out of the shipping box when I got it, this thing played like crap, but that was a win for me as well. So along with the mojo, it sounds like crap. It totally fits the theme of grunge, so I was good with it. But over time, and especially getting back into guitar, I really didn't appreciate that it sounded like crap anymore, and so I thought it was a lost cause, because there were some dead areas up near the 14th fret. I simply didn't notice that when I was a kid because I've just now been learning to play farther up the neck. And so when I discovered that, we sent it down the road to our local guitar shop. They were able to shim the neck and get this thing in way better condition. That fret now plays, all is well. Again, I thought it was a lost cause, and so it's like it came back to life, really. I played it a lot when we got it back, and in preparation for this video, I played it a lot. All this to say, when my husband went down to visit them, one of the guys that works there was like, hey, so we had a customer and he showed us a video of an offset guitar. We saw the Jag-Stang hanging up on the wall and noticed the black scratches. And so we thought it was you guys. And my husband was like, oh my gosh, that video is totally ours. I think it was maybe the Norman's rare guitar video I did about the Cyclone that I got, but like, it was so wild to me because I only had 100 subs and I had only been doing it for a month that someone had found me. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I thought it was so wild that this unique attribute of this Jag-Stang is what caused them to recognize that it was us. Now, before the demo, I just wanted to talk about how this thing feels. Kurt was a really, there's probably a better way to say it, but he was a petite guy. That's good for me because it traditionally has been really hard for me to reach things. I have fairly long fingers, but to reach things on the neck has been a challenge, especially for a beginner. But this guitar kind of takes that away because it gives you a lot more grace as far as being able to reach the frets and really stretch out. The slim, it's super slim. You see how I have my hand wrapped around the guitar here. It's just, the playability is so easy. And also because the scale length is 24 inches as opposed to a more traditional scale length for Fenders, I think that aids in it as well. Super easy to play. When I did get the neck fixed and adjusted, I asked them to put 10s on it. I think that kind of ruined the vibe for me because this is such an easy guitar to play. 9s are gonna make it that much easier to play in my opinion, and by putting 10s, I have to fight a little bit more, but still, this thing is super dangerous if you're learning something new on it because it makes songs easier to play. And I know I keep saying that, but I'm saying it because if you learn something on this and you try to take that over to another guitar, it's going to be harder to play on that other guitar, to me, because this is the thinnest neck I've ever had. The playability is just so easy, that shorter scale length. So if you want to learn something and be able to port it to different guitars, maybe try not to learn it on this because truly, for beginners, it's great. Everything on this thing is a breeze. One thing I'd like to know from you guys, do any of you out there, so this is a 96, it's one of the original runs of this Jag-Stang, do any of you happen to have a reissue? I know they've done it a few times. I'm asking because one of the guys at the guitar store apparently said that this one was a lot different from the reissues. So I'd like to know what your opinion is on that. If you've had the pleasure of playing both, please let me know if you noticed any differences in what those are. Super curious. Now, if you're still with me, the last thing I want to say before doing the demo is that in prepping for the video, I realized that Nirvana songs are my comfort zone. And for so long, I wouldn't play those in front of people, and especially in a guitar store, people that didn't know me. And I really didn't want to play Nirvana songs originally on the channel. I did in my last video because that song just came to mind, but it's my comfort zone. The songs are super easy to learn. And so anytime I'm trying to learn something that's difficult for me, I'll quickly look up how to play a Nirvana song, and you just instantly get it. And it feels like a win, and it just encourages me to keep going. No matter how played out or sensationalized the band is over time and oversaturated, it's okay to still like it and still appreciate it for what it is. And so I'm really saying that to tell myself that again and kind of give myself permission to like what I like. And I realized that Nirvana songs are kind of comfort for me, and that's okay. With that being said, we're going to use a Fender amp on clean settings, but then I hope you don't mind, we'll be using a Boss DS1 distortion pedal for obvious reasons. I'm sure you won't mind that, but we'll definitely notate when we use it. We'll also notate when we're using what position or what pickups. Just really quick how these pickups work. If the selector is in the middle for either pickup, so this one would be neck, this one would be bridge. If it's in the middle, it's off. If it's either to the left or right, doesn't matter, on either one, that will engage that pickup. So it'll turn that pickup on. Now, when you're doing combinations of pickups, if the switches are both going in the same direction, that means they're in phase. Now, if they're going to opposite directions, like the neck is going to the left and the bridge is going to the right, then that means they're out of phase. So with that being said, let's go ahead and plug it in and see what it sounds like. Okay guys, well that's my story and my experience with this Fender Jag-Stang 1996. in Fiesta Red. I just find it so cool. My son is now old enough to realize who Nirvana is and realize that Kurt designed this guitar, so it's only just begun for him. I've just had a lot of fun making this video, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.